our campus is a Teams campus, so like we have to use Teams a lot. So that's why I use it a lot. But yeah, welcome to possibly the best professional development you're ever going to get. I'm just kidding. All right. But that being said, this is definitely for the Selena bus tour, or as I'm calling it right now too, this is for the Big Bertha bus, Selena and social justice tour. I mean, that it's just gonna play into it. So when we get on to the actual like bus, we're like, this is Big Bertha, and we're gonna have two of those. So it just might be what it is, right? That being said, if anybody knows of any lowriders along the way, that would be really cool to see. Just saying. But that being said, let's get started. So the website we're going to use is NightLab. If you're not familiar with NightLab, it is a open space platform property of Northwestern University, and it's actually really interesting, right? Because they have multiple different types of tools you can use. Oh wait, let me see. I'm not even sharing my screen. I'm so sorry. This is my bad. This is totally my bad.
Can I ask a
Um,
question? What is the
yes, yeah.
difference between that and story maps? Or like, does one function better for one or the other?
So story maps, you have to have a account for it,
Okay.
right? And then typically this is you have to pay for it sometimes through your university account. Night Lab, yeah. So Night Lab, however, is open source, right? And then all you have to have is a Google account. Seriously. And so like that's what makes it so much easier. So when we were in the meeting and then Valerie brought that up and I was like, well, we can just change it to Night Lab because Night Lab does the same thing. It's a little bit it's not as it's still user friendly, but it's not as like integrated as you can see a story map on ArcGIS is. I love ArcGIS and I use it all the time, especially for my own page. But Story Maps does the same job, and we've used it before in other things, like for the Esperanza Center, we've used it, and it worked out really well, especially for people that are don't have access to a college or university account for it, so they have to pay for ArcGIS. So this just works out really good. And one of the ones that we start seeing, or one of the ones we're going to use is story maps. And their story maps are everywhere. Like all these different sites have story maps of their own. This is just the one we're going to use. But if you see all these other ones you can use, I think they're just amazing. Timelines, storylines, which is just another form of timeline, juxtaposition, so you can do before and after pictures. It's really cool. And there's plenty of other storytelling maps too as well. There's some beta versions too. So we're going to use story maps. So when we go into story maps, this is going to be it right here. This one was the westward expansion one that they use as a sample for everybody. You can look over the media and everything else too. You can even ask for help if students are getting glitches or anything like that, though. They're more than willing to answer. They receive responses, and they're really good, especially with the community forums that they have. But it's really easy. So let's just go to make a story map. As soon as we get into make a story map, it's going to tell you log into your Gmail. I'm already logged into my Gmail. I already have one for my 1301 class, History 1301. I'm creating one for Hemisphere, right? And then I'm also using this for our anything for Selena's social justice bus tour. And it's really easy. Let's just click on that. And so this is my edited version of it. It's nothing real crazy, but what we're going to start seeing is how to use it. So let me just show you basically. Let's create a new one because we're just gonna it's gonna make it easier. New version, right? It's gonna make it easier for us to understand this. So this is a title page. This is really easy to use. Once we start seeing how the map's gonna go, it's gonna really be easy for us to understand this. But the title page, just simply put, I'm just gonna put anything for Salinas, right? Social justice bus tour. The weird thing about this website is that it does make it all caps, so you can't lowercase the names on the title page or any of the titles. You can only lowercase them right here when we get to the text box. So anything like right here, anything for, yeah, so sorry. My typing is really bad right now. Yeah, and so it does that right there. This is the text box right here where we're going to be able to input, or another text box, the URL box where we're going to be able to input photos. So I already have a set stored photos for this project right here. And I'm just going to use it real quick. Let's say I want to do the Selena mural on the south side. I'm going to upload it right here onto this one. This is going to be the automatically one everybody sees for this. So for example, when we go to preview, this is the one people are seeing right here. And this is how it's going to look at first, and then we're going to see how this is going to look afterwards. I'm going to really do it like the cooking channel where like, hey, we're going to do this right here, but this is the finished product right here already. So just I'm so sorry about that. It's just it goes a lot quicker. And if anybody has any other questions, please let me know so I can help you out with that. Credits, I always do this right here. I always do like courtesy of, right? Photo courtesy of this, photo courtesy of this, right? For this one's courtesy, right? Courtesy, because I got this from like my San Antonio. Oh my gosh, what San Antonio am I in? I'm so sorry. I just got it courtesy of sanantonio.com, right? Nothing real crazy. And then the captions I typically put photo of this is Christopher Montoya's photo, right? Or mural by Montoya right here. And so when we go back to the preview, we save it first. Sorry. When we go back to the preview, you're going to start seeing how it's going to look on the bottom right here, right? And then to be honest, this is basically like PowerPoint. Like every time you now that's the title page, and then from there on, the first page you're going to use is really simple. It's just the same exact thing, kind of like a PowerPoint, right? But you're doing the same exact thing now. Now, for this, what's really interesting when you go to the first page is actually now you get to use the location center. So this is like amazing. I love this. So if I want to look up San Antonio, it's automatically going to look up San Antonio for me right here, right? And that's what makes this so much more accessible to, especially for story maps, right? Like story maps are so cool because you can use mapping for it, and you can actually tell stories while you're doing this, right? And so for us, we're gonna do like the search location, St. Anthony, look at St. Anthony, that St. Anthony Hotel, not there. Nope, not there. Okay. We're gonna do is to do a simple one because it's not searching for it. But usually what I do when they can't find it, I just go to Google and I just go St. Anthony Hotel, right? And then built by, and then basically I just get the address. Makes it easier. Get the address right here. It automatically searches that address and automatically links it right there, just like any other story map would or any other mapping would. Now, for this is when it gets a little tricky because you can't automatically drag anything into the text box. Right here, you can add actual URLs. So if there's a website you want to use, right? Like earlier today, I was using this for my class and I just put in a newspaper website and it shows really cool. But what was it for us? If you want to do a simple image, we have to search for the images right here. And then for me, I already have like my stocked images that I have already located. And then I just upload it right here. Again, it's going to show up right here. Headline would be St. Anthony Hotel, right? Which I already got. I'm going to write a little like blurb about this too as well, courtesy of. And then where the caption really is going to be put into place is where we're going to have to put citations, at least for me. I don't know how y'all want to do this with some of the students that are going to be use this. It really depends. We use Chicago style for history. I know other disciplines use APA, right? Other things like that. So it's really up to y'all. I do have a actual sheet for this, so it's an actual assignment that you could actually like plug and play. So I think that would help a lot. But at the end of the day, okay, we did the title, we did this, and this is basically going to be the same thing, same thing, same thing over and over, right? So let's go to the actual completed one. And this is how my page actually looks at the end of the day, right? It's an actual like all the images that I've collected, all the sites that we are looking at and going on this tour already posted, and I already have a short synopsis of what this is. In addition to that, one of the prerequisites for this actual assignment is actually being able to watch Selena the movie. I don't know, I'm sorry. Right? Like you just have to watch it. I was like, you just have to watch. And also it's a free on YouTube, right? YouTube has it free, it's with ads, right? So everybody can access it as long as you have a YouTube account. So that's not the biggest deal, really. But you can also link stuff here. And this is what I really do like about this website is that if you want to link anything, on these like other websites, you can actually link them to the text box where it's going to show the information. So for me, when I show my students this, I'm going to link it right here, and it's automatically going to pop up to the movie right here. Sorry about that. I was watching it earlier. But that being said, it's my favorite. It's the saddest part. So I already did this, and there's a couple of things with this title page that are really cool. So say you don't want to start exploring because it's going to go one by one, like just basically like a slideshow. Say if you don't want to do that, say you want to go to one of these images that we went, it automatically jumps to that one right there. And that's what's really cool about this website. And I really enjoy it too, right? Um, so when we get started with this, we start seeing that I already have my citations right here. I know it's a little bit long, but we also have a little synopsis of what the St. Anthony Hotel was. That's going to be our first site because we're going to start off there. I think that's what's really interesting about that. Maybe we can talk more about downtown and the civil rights movement. I think that would be really interesting to do. The Selena Bridge itself, the image I have is not loading here. I don't know why, and hasn't done that. But for the Selena Bridge itself, though, I a little bit go more into not only that this is a part of the movie and this is where Selena and Chris really go after they're married, right? In secret, it's also the history of the Riverwalk, right? And what how it's built, why it's built, basically, and its effects by like the flood, the 1921 flood, right? And that's one of the going to be the biggest things that's going to move the city to actually have flood prevention in the city. And then you basically have this river park that you need to build over. Now, this is a very simple synopsis right now. But we also have in addition that there's other Tejano singers that are very influential along the Riverwalk too that have their own bridges too, right? One of them is Orzita Fernandez, right there about arts and theater. And I think that's a really cool site to go to. I think we can probably work that out too as part of the tour. But for now, we're just doing Selena Bridge because it's near the hotel. It's only 2 blocks away. But when we go to the next one right here, also you can also link this right here. This is the Trinity site. Trinity actually has its own like flood site. It's really cool, West Side Rising. And you can go on there too. Same thing for Selena's boutique, right? This is on the north side of San Antonio. And this is where we're going to talk about redlining in San Antonio because it's right next to Brackenridge and because it's on Broadway and because it's within this area, we can actually look at the redlining maps and compare the two. And so one of the sites that we have to look at too is also this park right here. This is called Menke Park. And Menke Park had an ordinance to prevent any African Americans from actually living on their city ordinances. And so city ordinances are a little bit different from actual redlining because they were like prior to it. And they stopped doing those because they found them illegal. And then they started doing racial covenants and segregation started developing into redlining, which was sponsored by the U.S. government. So I mean, there's a whole trajectory of things that we can go off there, and people on this tour are going to see the difference. They're really going to see the difference between the sides of town, because the next one we're going to go to, at least, is right here. Also, if you want to see the redlining maps of San Antonio, besides at UTSA, you can also see this one. It has a narration right here too on the side, which is really really cool. And then this website is so cool because you can also do it like this. Where is it at? It's not doing it. There we go. When you click on one of these, it actually shows you the different sides of town. Another GIS map, really cool. But Clifton versus Fuente is another court case that we're going to look at too, as well as a part of this tour. If you're not familiar with this part, this is actually the part where Abraham Quintanilla is actually talking about how it is to be Mexican American in the United States, right? You have to be more Mexican than Mexican, more American than American part. But this is actually on the site of where Mayfield Park was at. And Mayfield Park is an old segregated neighborhood. And the name Mayfield actually comes from the KKK congressman of Texas. And so this neighborhood is a formerly segregated neighborhood now turned into a Mexican neighborhood, right, on the south side of San Antonio. Because when we look at the redlining maps of San Antonio, this is how redlining kind of operates now. Is that now we're going to see the expansion of the Mexican side of town, right? Which is the red, of course. And then this yellow part right here is going to see the expansion of that. This is why neighborhoods close to that are in yellow, because they are definitely declining as the map says, right? So where this neighborhood actually rests is actually below this right here, below this line right here. And this is because this is where the city um line was. And so San Antonio's right here, Somerset's right here. And so you can actually see where Mayfield Park is at right here. And Mayfield Park right there is the cutoff point for the suburb that we're going to talk about in this one right here. And this is a very famous one because he's an immigrant person. His family is trying to purchase a house in Mayfield Park, but they can't because they're Mexican American, and there's legal documents and there's a court case surrounded by this by Alonso Parales and Lulac that are literally trying to go against this. Now, their court case doesn't go all the way up to the Supreme Court because there's another court case for African Americans happening in St. Louis at the same time. So what happens with that court case in St. Louis gets approved by the Supreme Court. They end segregation based on racial covenants, which means that their housing deeds are racially restricted. They end that, but this is the first court case afterwards that upholds that court case, because the state of Texas is going to uphold that court case, which is only like 5 days away from each other. Like, it's really close to each other. And so that's what's unique about this spot too. And it's just kind of really cool to go at. Um, and then we also get the Rodriguez Teruel swimming pool case. If you're not familiar with Teruel's and the swimming pool case, this is happening during World War II. Good neighbor policy. These individuals are trying to use the good neighbor policy and the Caucasian race resolution, if you're not familiar with those, to try to gain access into this swimming pool. Because they're saying that based on these two resolutions and the policy, both us Latin Americans are legally white, which we have to think about whiteness, and we can definitely talk about that on the trip because I think that's a whole opens up a great point of talking about this court case. Is that their whiteness is only legal and it's only upheld by the state of Texas, but it's not upheld by a foreign policy. That being said, they're legally white, but they are racially brown, right, and racially Mexican. So we have to understand that. I think that creates a very clear point of thinking about colorism and legal colorism in the United States. So I mean, this is one of the court cases that we definitely can bring up, and this is in Harlandale's district right here. If you're not familiar with this, I'm sorry, this is like South Side oriented a little bit, but like it's really cool because we're gonna start seeing some other cool places too as well, like the Selena mural right here. And I just love it because it's right next to the Botanica, and so it's like really cool. But this is also the formerly segregated neighborhood of that same one I was talking about. And then we can actually talk about this area because when we look on this map to the left-hand side of this, we actually see that this right here is actually Division, and Division's actually the city limit line. That's why it's called Division. It's a city limit line of San Antonio. In addition to that, we also see that South Flores is here, and South Flores is one of the older streets in San Antonio, which it's on. And then this is also the mural that gets created just right after she dies, right? So this is actually one of the first Selena murals in the United States, essentially, right? And so that's what makes it so unique just to kind of visit. And it's just pretty cool. And I think because it's a parking lot, we'll get like a really cool picture of everybody in it. And then we could talk about the neighborhood itself and how that kind of looks. After that, we'd go into Lermas, which is dope because I've never been to Lermas. I'm sorry. Like, I really want to go there. I don't know why it's not showing up. It was showing up earlier now. Now it's not doing it. But Lermas is really cool because this is also part of the Selena movie, right? Can anybody tell me which part this comes out on?
Queremos bailar, right? That's the
Yeah, I just really want to use. I just really wanted somebody to say that. Like, yeah, yeah, we got to make signs. I'm just saying. I was like, we got to make signs. Yes, yes, this is it. Like, I just want to dance. And then we can talk about language acquisition, especially with music. And I think Sylvia, if you really want to like enunciate on this, I think this. If you go on the trip, I know, I don't want to put more work on you, but like if all of y'all like can do this, I think this is like really cool because I think some of the scenes here actually communicate to a lot of what San Antonio is actually developing music wise. This kind of concept of being like Mexican American, language as a way of getting in and getting out or not being in spaces, and then racialization, of course, right? So I think this is like going to be a great trip. I think it's really cool. But then the last slide I actually have for the students is actually going to be a reflection. It's a reflection one, and this is something where they can really talk about what did I gain for creating this project, right? This could be very personalized. This could be very stuff. You can phrase it any way you want. But at the end of the day, like, I gain a deeper understanding of San Antonio's history and its connection with Selena, the movie. At first, I thought the movie was just about life and her tragic death, but the more I view the setting of the movie, I realize the multiple scenes represent the many issues of being Chicano in the United States. Right, like that's just my personal thing, and that's just what I wanted to like, kind of like a sample size of what it looks like. And then in addition to that, I also want them to geolocate their school that they're actually coming from. So if that's UTSA or St. Philip's or any other one, they can actually geolocate that too. And then this is going to be actually for y'all too as well, to say like, hey, this person did it, and they could actually put their name in there too, right? And so they can put their name on the title page. They really can. It's not a big deal. Sorry, title page. Or and they can also have this personal reflection, so it's something more in depth. So you know for a fact that they actually did write something of a reflection moment, right? Not just copy and pasting stuff like that, though, or just like what was it? Rephrasing some of these things too as well. But that's how you do that. Let me show you how you share. It's really easy. This is the link. Like, this is the link. Yeah, after you do all this, like when you start fixing this, editing this, just go to publish changes. You can hit save. There's going to go to publish changes now. And then you just click on share. And then you get this link. And then like you just copy and paste this link. And you can put this on anyone, or you can put it on a medium. But you can also send this to an overall database. I don't know how y'all want to collect this, how everybody wants to collect this, but I was thinking about making a shared OneDrive folder, and that we can separate from different colleges and universities. And then each individual class can be separated, at least so we can keep track of the students that can be here. Now, for whoever's doing this, I don't know if you're doing this for extra credit or as another assignment. Either way, that would be a little bit easier, or the students can also like implement that and put their name on there and then still put the link on there too as well, just so we can keep track of them, and so they can also get the ability to go on the tour for free, right? I think that's one thing that we just need to kind of like focus on too. Other than that, here's the actual sheet that I made. This is the actual project title, right? Yes, Selena is a prerequisite watching the movie, right? And I'm gonna put the link on here. Don't worry about that. This is 8 to 10 geographical locations right here. Um, I went title slides, which locations are there. Students are going to have to find them themselves, right? In addition to that, the media that they're going to have to use, photos, images, maps of this, an analysis, 100 to 200 words right here. Again, in history, we use Chicago style citations, so that's just what I'm familiar with. But you're going to put those citations on the caption itself. And they actually tell you what a caption is on the text box too. So that's not that hard. But the conclusion, again, this is a reflection, right? The impact of the individual's understanding of the overall project. Media right here, apply a picture and a caption of the picture of your campus, right here. This is where we would have this. And then for those of you that are interested in having a rubric for this too as well, you can actually have this right here. I'm sorry if this is too much. I just didn't know what everybody would want or would like. You can take and pick and part anything you want from this. This is always open to you. But I'm going to share these two things. I'm going to share these three things: the actual website, the document, this right here, the assignment document, and then this video to everybody on Knox. Okay. So at least everybody has access to all these things too as well. Does anybody have any questions?
That was so cool. Thank you, Gene. That's such a badass assignment. And like, yeah, it looks so user friendly.
Yeah. Hopefully it is. I don't know. I think we're just trying to help, right? I'm just trying to help from here. I'm not as cool as y'all being in San Antonio. So like it's really
It is cool to be in San Antonio, but this is really cool
cool.
to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is awesome for sure, for sure. And I was gonna ask you, shoot, I just lost my train of thought. Oh, you mentioned weekly, that you were gonna do this weekly, or is this just a one and done?
No, I'm gonna do this weekly. So I'll be here next Thursday too as well. So if anybody wants to pop on, if anybody needs help with research themselves, like the students, I can actually help them too as well. Databases that they have, I could screen share so they can show me what databases they're looking at. We can actually go into newspaper archives too as well. I know that there's a difference between colleges and campuses, so that just might be something that we can do too as well. I can do another thing that just specializes on research and how to research these things if you want to, instead of just going over the platform because we already have this video. So it's really up to anybody. Yeah. So
Okay,
just
awesome. Thank you.
yeah. So just let your students know. Yeah, sure.
Can
What's up,
y'all
Gabby?
hear me? Can y'all hear me or no?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Aesthetically wise, I'm like, first of all, thank you for making this so user friendly because I was so into, I've like, all these storytelling tools are really intimidating. And I think at one point I went to a like workshop for some timeline something, and it was so overwhelming. And so just like you taking the time to do this, I'm like, it's like a PowerPoint, like add, click, whatever, like I like the intimidation is gone. So if I feel this way, I know students are going to be like down because also they're way better, I think, at this point at tech than we are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So shout like just general like thank you and super accessible. And as far as the so second comment, my other question is though, like if I'm looking like at the map when you showed the map and it had like the connecting like the little
Yeah.
like the lines that just will do it automatically and that depends on like the order of the slides. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Exactly. That's
So
exactly
okay,
what it is, though. Yeah.
cool.
So yeah, there's other things that you can do for tools wise. Like you can change the map, but the map that we have on that, that just the generic default map is actually the best map they have. It's kind of weird to say that, so it doesn't have like Google settings, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, you're absolutely right. It just like links like that automatically for you. You don't even have to do that for yourself. Just depends on the slides that you have.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. So
Sweet.
I think there's some pretty other ones. You can always add more to this if you want your students to add more to this. Because there's a lot of different places in San Antonio, as y'all know, that it just have so much history and so much connection for
Yeah, I
sure.
was thinking freaking Bun and Barrel.
Bun and Barrel? Bun and where's
Yeah,
Bun?
that's the one where he kicks Chris off the bus. He's like, "You
Oh
could ride the bus.
yeah, he
You could."
does.
That's
He
next to
does.
that's on Austin
What did you say,
Highway.
It's on
Wes?
Austin Highway.
Austin Highway in Exeter. Yeah, in
Yeah.
Exeter.
Yeah, Tony
Yeah.
knows.
Right.
Um, yeah, my we were what were we over there for? I think we went to Tongs Tie. And that's it's interesting because that, like you said, like just thinking about also all the segregation and the like hard ass red lines. Like that's Austin Highway, right? So it's like the
Oh yeah.
McNay, and then you turn right to Austin Highway, and
You're
there's
lying.
Bun and Barrel, and like all of
All of
that.
it.
So
Oh
yeah,
my
just
god.
super exciting. And I know there's a bunch of sites, and like ideally we do them all, but like I think the ones you selected are awesome and it's
Yeah.
really exciting. I'm excited to see what the students think and feel and all that.
Yeah, and so maybe we can also like work on a different site because I know some of these sites are like a little bit harder to access. Because I know one of the things for like the Selena Bridge, for example, is very like it's very narrow just getting there, and just to have like 40, 100 people in there might be different. But we also might be able to go to Sunset Station, where in the movie in itself they're having the fashion show. And then we can also talk about redlining, how that affects African American communities on the east side of San Antonio. And then that looks at St. Paul Square in itself. Uh, I'm just going to click off of this real quick, the recording, because I'm going to show you one that we did for the Esperanza a while back.